Welcome to the Temple of Flame. On today, Faith Blacklights, we take a look at this. And what this is from Bravado, it is the pineapple and habanero hot sauce. Oh man, I don't think I love this label. In fact, I don't. White text on a weird yellow background. No bueno. So we got pineapple, distilled vinegar, yellow bell pepper, orange habanero pepper, puree, that is, garlic, and sea salt. So not a whole ton of ingredients in here. You can see it's a fairly loose sauce. So this is one I reviewed quite some time ago. I didn't find it super favorable at the time. We'll see how that has changed, if it has changed over time. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I was initially not going to do this one, but I find myself in need of a fairly straightforward pineapple sauce, and this one was, these guys are in a lot of grocery store shelves now, including the one I happen to be at. So that is why it was just more opportunistically than anything, but you can see it does look a touch pulpy, so I don't think they were using, probably is pineapple juice in there, but this is, I think, more of a puree than anything else. Really pretty color. I like the color of this. It is still a touch overly garlic from what I think I would want. But in the right application, that is, I mean, there's worse things you could have for sure. But got some orangish kind of stuff right in the middle there, and the rest of it is definitely this fairly vibrant yellow from the pineapple, of course. Yeah, I think it looks quite good. Let's get into it. Pineapple, definitely a fairly heavy garlic charge. And this has slightly more heat than I remember from last time. But of course, that was, like I said, quite a few years ago now. You can check out the written review. So this might change a little bit. I don't actually recall what I wrote. I don't usually do that. I usually do written reviews as one-offs, and then when I film the video, I sometimes remember what I write, sometimes I don't. So sometimes they change. Most of the time when they change, I make a note of what has changed. I mean, it really depends on what it is, obviously, but I make a note of what has changed from the previous review. In some cases, I have thrown out the entire review and just made a new one. I don't think that'll be the case with this one. But the garlic, I find a lot so far. I mean, I just barely opened this, but so far I find the garlic a lot less offensive than I did in the review. I do recall that. So we've got here, it's taken me quite a while to get through all these, but I got, these are the Hellfire Club. This is the bag for the spicy cheese. See right there. The crossover with Stranger Things is the Hellfire Club. Spicy cheese Totino's pizza rolls. There is a video, by the way, for both the cheese and the pepperoni, which came out at the same time. You can check that out. in the, I believe that's in the everything else playlist if you're interested. So let's throw some sauce on these. Yes, I do happen to like pineapple on my pizza. Whether it's, these are both, by the way, pepperoni and cheese both. I just kind of combined them in one bag. Whoa! To save freezer space. So one of the things with this sort of weird texture to this sauce, where it does have a lot of pineapple, but it also has a good amount of juice to it. As you can see, I opened this on camera. You saw it. Already, between the spoon and just pouring it on here, I've already knocked this down about 2 ounces. So, and that's kind of the way that goes with those sauces a lot of times. For this particular one, I did these in the air fryer. They're a little crispier than I want in the air fryer. They're awful out of the oven though. So the air fryer is the best method, no question about that, as it is for a lot of other things as well. But I had these, and I've had them for quite some time since I did that other video. And I did that one, and it was actually on Stranger Things Day, oddly enough. But this, of course, is several months removed. I'm guessing. I don't know exactly when this is going to go live, but it's probably several weeks at least removed from November 6th when I did that other video. So, let's get into these. It's such a... That was definitely pepperoni. It oddly... That bite flavor-wise, oddly enough, took me back to... back when Pizza Hut had their sit-in dining stuff. Back when Pizza Hut was more a restaurant than a delivery service. It really saddens me how that particular chain has kind of fallen off. Although, you know, it's been that way for 25, 30 years. So yeah, I will have a pepperoni and pineapple pizza. No qualms at all about that. No real heat here, but I am liking what the little bit of garlic in there, and the freshness of the pineapple is mixing very well with these. That's kind of actually why I got this. It's a touch runny. Touch runnier than I hoped for. It's the one downside to... Usually on some pizza, you just have to be a little bit careful. You know, or you're gonna have a soggy dough. These are fairly crispy dough. Man, this inside's, oh. I'm glad to be done with the Hot Pockets. Those 2 bags was more Hot Pockets than I've ever eaten in my entire life. I think when the Geno's... I don't think Geno's exist anymore. When there was a Geno's pizza roll. I think my mom got those. once upon a time. They were awful. They were bad. They were worse than the Totino's pizzas. That's not a very high bar. It wasn't back in the 80s either. Or 70s, whenever those came out. Probably the 80s. I don't really feel like there was a mass shift away or towards really packaged garbagey stuff until probably the 90s though. I have never, to this day, I've never had a Lunchable. So I look at it, it just looks like pure garbage. I don't think my mom would have ever given those to anybody either. Which is not to say she wouldn't have done it because of reasons of garbage. She used to buy Oscar Mayer bologna and stuff until it finally dawned on her that nobody liked that. Nobody would eat it. But Lunchables, I think, were too expensive for what they were. Which is honestly just basically shit. I mean, the same really with any of those sort of packaged lunch type products. I've never seen one I was interested in eating. I heard some YouTubers got together and did some of those, but I've never seen them in a store, first of all. Secondly, I'm not trying to buy mold. I have some mold here on camera for you. For the most part, I think YouTuber products, you really have to be, I think honestly, even more skeptical than you might normally be. Unless you can find out who the partner is behind it and if it's a reputable partner, maybe. Oh, I'm so happy these are gone. So happy. Now, they weren't taking up a lot of space in my fridge anymore, but they're not very good, but they're not bad enough to toss. So, my grandma grew up during the Depression, and she beat into her children's heads, for the most part, not to be wasteful. Don't waste food. Don't waste stuff you can use. Glass jars or what have you. And their kids tried really hard to beat it into, her kids tried really hard to beat it into their kids. Which would be myself, my siblings, and my cousins and stuff. And I think it took to a varying degree. Like if something is out and out trash, I'll toss it. There's no point in letting it sit around. If I'm just never ever going to have it, why keep it? But these aren't bad enough for me to do that. By no means good. They're just not crappy enough for me to toss. But given that Stranger Things is supposed to be time locked into the 80s, I think it's accurate to that era to an extent. I wouldn't say fully accurate, but to an extent, I would say it is. That's a bit gruesome. Got all the sauce and stuff mixed with this that leaked out of these things mixed with this hot sauce. Is interesting. Yeah, I mean it's a good steady one. Where I was going with that business about Stranger Things was, I assume that's when pizza rolls hit the shelves initially. I don't remember that before then, certainly. And, you know, I don't think they... I think they were more a response to people having microwaves. But, you know, we didn't have a microwave at all. At all. Like, now it's like a standard part of kitchen equipment, but we didn't have one at all when I was growing up until... Well, I was almost out of high school. And then my mom got a second-hand one from her work, because they were replacing it with a different unit, or we wouldn't have had one. I think that's where I started to like things like cold fried chicken and cold pizza, was because A, it was a pain in the ass trying to heat anything up without a microwave. But also B, you would be asking for it. You'd be asking for it in a big way if you turned on the oven trying to reheat some leftover bullshit. That'd be picking a fight you probably didn't want. Anyway, so enough about the history of pizza rolls. Let's talk about the hot sauce. This, I like this a lot better than I did before. I don't know if they reformulated it, but the flavor, it's kind of this interesting balance. It is more sweet than not, but it's got a really interesting savory element to it. The garlic, I think, has been dialed way back, which benefits this quite a bit. I do think it's a little bit looser than I would like. It is like a really chunky pineapple juice almost. I mean, I'm sure it's a pineapple puree. I didn't actually... God, these ingredients. This text is awful. I'm sure it's a pineapple puree. So that I would like it a little bit thicker, but outside of that, mostly what you're getting is pineapple, a little bit of salt, a little bit of garlic, and those are kind of the main flavors, and they work actually pretty well in harmony. So this one, the rating I think was fairly low when I initially did it. It will be going up. That change will of course already happen before this video is posted, but yeah, I mean, I try to be as fair and even-handed as possible with, I mean, I certainly have some considerations, you know, just the way that my body works, but I try to be as even-handed as possible. And to their credit, I have not been the biggest fan of Bravado, but I like this quite a bit better than when I initially did the written review. So I'd put this more, I think, probably in the middle of the pack as far as pineapple habaneros go. It's still got a couple things that I would like to tweak it with, but definitely, in my view anyway, it's improved considerably since I initially did the written review. And hey, we'll just leave it right there. So that was the Bravado pineapple and habanero hot sauce. Number 4. In peace. To serve the flame.